I'm going to be sharing with you 5 signs that your higher self is actually taking over, which means that your ego is not going to be controlling your life anymore. Your ego is not going to be blocking you from automatically creating success, because success is something that happens automatically when you allow your higher self to take over. Now, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 signs that your higher self is taking over and the ego is not going to be controlling you anymore. It's going to be something much more powerful that is actually guiding your actions and guiding your decisions, guiding you to create success automatically. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one to let go of your ego, reprogram your subconscious mind for success so you can automatically be in alignment with your vision and your purpose and what it is that you really want to be doing in this life, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation to see if you're a good fit for the coaching program. So you got to realize that when your higher self takes over, the burden of your ego is not there anymore. You might still feel resistance, you might still feel negative emotions, but your ego is not going to be controlling you anymore. Your ego is not going to be controlling each situation, trying to logically figure everything out. My mind does this all the time. I try to figure everything out logically, how everything's going to work out, how I'm going to manifest this, how I'm going to manifest that, and that's just a block. But when you just allow the higher self to take over, it's almost like manifestation becomes so easy. It becomes so effortless. There's less of a struggle. The ego creates struggle, but your higher self has no struggle. Your higher self and the truth of who you are is effortlessly in alignment, creating its dream life automatically, still taking action, still using the logical mind as a tool, but it's not allowing that tool to consume it. So the tool is a tool, but what happens is that the ego overuses this tool, right? It wears out the appliances. It just overuses the tool. And you gotta realize that when your higher self takes over, things become much more simple. So the first sign that your higher self is taking over is that you are taking leaps of faith. If you're beginning to take leaps of faith and trust yourself, trust your higher self, you're realizing that there's something deeper going on here where your ego doesn't have to figure it all out, and you have such a deep level of trust in the universe and who you really are that you're beginning to take leaps of faith into the unknown, into the uncertainty. Your higher self is taking over. Now keep in mind, this still means that you have free will. You can still make choices, but at the same time, your higher self will be guiding you. But your higher self is a part of you. At the same time, it is you. So really what you're doing is you're trusting yourself, but you're also trusting the greater universe that you're connected to. And that might seem like a paradox, but that's the way it has to be, because you're a separate being, but you're also connected with everything. Now, if you're taking leaps of faith, into the unknown, you're making bold decisions, you're having trust in the universe, in yourself, you're taking that leap of faith. Like for me, I dropped out of school, I took a leap of faith and I trusted the present moment, and I trusted that intuition that comes from the present moment that told me, hey, you can make your dream happen. My intuition told me, if you follow the present moment, and if you follow the path of no fear, the path of love, I know it sounds cliche, but love just means a deep connection to the present moment, a deep connection to who you are. I told myself, and I felt in my being, that if I was just to trust that feeling, there's no possible way I can't create what I want. And now a couple months later, my dreams are manifesting into existence. And that required a leap of faith. So for you, if you're taking leaps of faith, if you're taking a leap of faith into the unknown, a leap of faith into the uncertainty of life, a leap of faith where you don't know where you're headed, you don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but you're trusting something. You don't know quite what you're trusting, but you're trusting something. It's like this intuition that comes from the moment where the non-logical mind isn't there, but something deeper within you is guiding you. You can't even see that it's your heart. It's something deeper than your heart. It's like awareness itself. It's this deep, formless awareness that you're trusting. It's almost like you're trusting nothing, but at the same time, you have a deep knowing that you can trust that. right? From the outside world, it might seem crazy. But if you're taking leaps of faith, if you're taking a leap of faith into the unknown, that is a sign your higher self is taking over. It's taking control of the wheel. The ego is not controlling the wheel anymore. Your higher self is. Now, you still have free will, but you also have infinite divine guidance that you're tapped into when you allow your higher self to take over. The second sign that your higher self is taking over is that you're trusting in something deeper than the mind. You see, the higher self is connected to the mind, connected to the heart, connected to the body, but it's none of those things. It's not the mind or the heart or the body. It's something deeper than all those things. It's deeper than the mind. It's deeper than any form. You're basically trusting in something that you can't tangibly see. In this case, also, you're not trusting the mind in particular. If you're trusting in something deeper than the logical mind, it could be your heart, it could be something deeper than the heart, it could be your gut feeling, it could be just a knowing, right? If you're trusting in something deeper than the mind, you are allowing your higher self to take over. Now, sometimes the higher self can't speak to you through your mind, but sometimes it can be deeper than that as well. So if you're actually trusting in something deeper than the mind, that is a clear 100% sign that there's something deeper taking over that we can call the higher self. Because the mind is what tries to logically figure everything out, and it attaches to the outcome. It's needy for the money, it's needy for the sale, it's needy for this, it's needy for that, it's needy for the girlfriend, it's needy for the job. But then what happens is that your higher self isn't needy for any of those things. And that neediness goes away when you trust something deeper than the mind. The mind wants to figure everything out logically. You let your higher self take over, you start to make the money. You start to attract the people that you really desire. You start to get that job in a much easier way. Automatically, the people that aren't in alignment, that were in alignment before, automatically fade out of your life in an easy way. When you trust something deeper than the mind, your life starts to auto-correct itself, and you automatically get into alignment with what it is that you really want to be doing and your highest vision and potential. But that only can happen when you have faith in something deeper. Everything I've been able to create up until this point in my life, I cannot attribute that to my mind. My mind is an extremely limited tool. It's a useful tool, but it's limited. Your mind is limited. Your mind isn't everything. The mind thinks that it can imagine everything. There's things that are manifesting for you right now that your mind can't even imagine. Think about this right now. There are things that you can actually manifest that it is impossible for you to imagine. You can't imagine. You can think about the visualizations, you can think about that, but there comes a point where the mind is always limited. You have to trust something deeper than the mind. Everything I have been able to create, I cannot attribute to willpower in the mind. Okay, I put in a lot of work, don't get me wrong. I take action on a lot of things. I record daily videos. I've been recording videos for the last 6 months. I take a lot of calls with clients, and I work pretty hard, but at the same time, it's not my mind doing all those things. I record this video, I have 5 points that I come into, 5 points. The rest is just flow. My mind can't come up with all that. There's a deeper intelligence that you need to trust if you really want to actually create your dream life. I always trust in that deeper intelligence. And that deeper intelligence wants to expand. It wants to grow, and when you align with that, when you trust in that deeper intelligence, then you actually start to let the higher self take over. And that's when you manifest much faster. So the third sign that your higher self is taking over is that synchronistic opportunities become normal, right? Synchronistic opportunities. You have, synchronicities in general, like license plates. I see repeating numbers all the time. That's what I see. You could have synchronistic events where it's almost like events happen in a weird way, where you just get a message like personally for you, and you're like, how, like really universe? And then that thing happens, and you're just like, okay, it's the universe is trying to tell me something. Or you have weird opportunities that align to you in very powerful ways where you're just aligned with the abundance frequency, and then before you know it, there's that opportunity, there's that email, there's that friend, there's that phone call, there's that money, there's that check in the mail. You start to align with the higher frequencies, and then what happens is that the abundance starts to come to you naturally. Synchronistic opportunities of abundance start to become attracted to you naturally. If that is happening to you, your higher self is taking over. That's not you doing it. That's not you. When I say you, I mean the ego. That's not your ego attracting those things. It is, but it's also something much deeper than the ego. The ego is a part of it, but to truly attract what you really desire is to let go of the ego. To stop understanding things logically with the mind, because the mind is a barrier. The mind is a barrier. There's deeper energies that you can become aware of to allow you to manifest your dream life. This is the biggest thing my coach taught me. The mind is a barrier. The mind can't imagine everything. And there's things that your higher self can actually understand before your mind can understand it. Your higher self knows a lot more than your mind. Your higher self has it all planned for you. It says, hey, you're going to be just fine. Stop overthinking it, right? Your higher self says, hey, it's all good. Your ego tries to logically figure it all out. And the more that you realize that your higher self can control things for you, you still have free will, but you're allowing the divine energy to flow through you. What happens is that now synchronistic opportunities of abundance begin to attract into your life in a much easier way. And that's what I call automatic success. Okay? Automatic success. Automatic success is when you've reprogrammed your subconscious mind to such a high degree that now your ego and the conditioning is not controlling you anymore. You're so conscious. You have such a deep connection to the present moment that now your higher self is taking over, which leads to synchronistic opportunities of abundance. That's once again what I call automatic success. It's beautiful. Your ego doesn't, how beautiful is that? That your ego doesn't have to figure it all out. Anytime I notice that I feel resistance, like, oh my gosh, I'm not making enough money or this and that, like, why can't I track this? Why can't I track that? Like, anytime I've had those thoughts in the past where I was scared, and I still get those thoughts sometimes, I just think to myself, can I really control this situation? Can I control this? Or like, can I just let go of control? Because there's certain things that I can't control. Now, don't get me wrong, right now, I honestly feel like I have a big control over my life, over my finances, over the things that I really want to create, over the things that I want to do, creating success in my life. But at the same time, that's not my ego doing that. My ego's not doing all of that. You see, the ego wants to resist everything and think, how do I track this? How do I track that? But then when you start to let the higher self take over, you automatically let that higher self energy control you, right? It's like you're not being controlled by it, but you are it, but you're letting it flow. It's the biggest paradox, and it's hard for me to communicate this because it's like you are the one doing it, but at the same time, you're tapped into something higher than you. So it's completely a paradox, but when you learn this energy, when you tap into the present moment, you stop allowing the resistance to control you. You can still feel resistance in your body, don't get me wrong. You can still feel resistance, like you can still feel negative emotions, but you're not believing in those emotions anymore. You're not letting the negativity control you. You can still feel negativity. I still have egotistical thoughts all the time. That's what I meant earlier. I still have doubts all the time, but I just don't believe in those thoughts anymore. I don't believe in the emotions anymore. I don't believe in the emotions that I feel that are blocking me from success. I just allow them to be there and I let my higher self take over. And the more that you do that, synchronistic opportunities of abundance. Okay, so the fourth sign that your higher self is taking over is that you're taking lots of action but with very little struggle. A lot of people think that manifestation means you don't take any action. Now, you don't have to take action to manifest, but when you start to align with your higher self, you will in fact start to take massive action. But here's the difference, is that your action will be aligned with your higher self to such a high degree that there's not going to be a resistance anymore. So there's not going to be the internal struggle. You see, in enlightenment, they actually call it, and before enlightenment, I don't remember what culture this is from, but this is from like some teaching, I can't give you the exact name. Before enlightenment, you chop wood, you carry water. Okay? After enlightenment, you chop wood, you carry water. Now, you see, the same things are going to be happening, or maybe they'll change, because when you're aligned with your higher self, you also tend to let go of things that don't serve, like careers, friends, relationships. So some things may change, but the point is that you can still take the same actions in life, usually different actions when you're aligned with your higher self, but still action in general. But there doesn't have to be an internal struggle. So what's the difference between an enlightened person that chops wood, carries water, and an unenlightened person? Well, the person that's enlightened won't feel resistance. It'll be easy for him to be taking the actions. Now, when I say easy, it might still feel uncomfortable. It might still feel like there's a physical labor going on there, but does it have to be an internal struggle with the mind? That's the insight right there. That's the insight. The internal struggle of the mind doesn't need to be there. Now, here's the thing. If you're starting to take action, massive action, but at the same time, you're not actually struggling through that action, your higher self is taking over. You can still feel uncomfortable feelings. Once again, you can still feel uncomfortable emotions. Sometimes I feel those emotions, but the difference is that now I am not in resistance to them. When I started my channel, I felt resistance in my body, like, oh my gosh, am I worthy enough? Can I do this? Can I really make money doing this as a coach? Can I really do this? Can I really create the success that I want? There was this resistance, but I recorded videos through that resistance. I still started to reach out to people. I still started to expand my coaching business. I still started to do everything that I wanted to do, even through the resistance, right? There's nothing wrong with feeling resistance, but do you have to believe in those emotions? Do you have to believe in the resistance, or can you just allow it to be there and then still take action anyways? Be present with that. Don't resist those emotions. And then they go away. You got to realize that you can still take the same actions, but remove the internal struggle. Now, if you're beginning to do that, what's going to happen is that your higher self is going to take over. If you're doing that, your higher self is already taking over. Because now your ego is not attached to the emotions anymore that come from taking actions that you were actually resisting before. This is what allowed me to record daily videos and not feel resistance. I still feel resistance, but I'm not resisting the resistance. Sometimes I don't feel resistance at all. But when I do, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with feeling resistance when you're taking action, but do you have to resist the resistance? Or can you allow the resistance to be there? Biggest paradox you learn in spirituality. When you allow the resistance to be there, even while you're taking action, then the resistance goes away. But if you resist the resistance, then the resistance stays. What you resist persists. What you resist persists. Okay, I said that wrong. What you resist persists. So if you're taking lots of action, but there's little struggle to that action, your higher self is taking over. Now, the fifth sign that your higher self is taking over is you're beginning to experience effortless abundance. Effortless abundance. Abundance of ideas. Abundance of money. Abundance of people. I'm not just talking about financial abundance. I mean abundance in general. Abundance that comes from just being in the present moment. The abundance that comes from being in the present moment where ideas flow to you effortlessly. You're taking action, but at the same time, that action is fueled with joy and presence and love. And then from that action taking, from just being who you are, wherever that present moment leads you to, you start to attract effortless abundance into your life. An abundance of ideas, an abundance of money, random checks in the mail, random opportunities that you know are going to lead to abundance. People that are also in alignment with your abundance. This is what you call effortless abundance. Now, this happens when your higher self takes over. You see, if you look at all the successful people, not all of them, but most of them, they always talk about some kind of faith. Like in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, he talks about having a faith. There's a faith, right? When you have faith, what happens is that you start to attract effortless abundance. Now, when I say effortless, does that mean you're not going to be taking action? Not necessarily. But does it have to be with a strong amount of effort, that action you take? Let me ask you this. I asked this in one of my other videos, but I'm going to ask again. Does taking action have to have lots of effort? In some cultures, in some Buddhist cultures, I think, once again, I can't list the actual teaching or the culture, but they call it an effortless effort. It's like there's an effortlessness there, but at the same time, you're putting in the effort. Now, what happens is that you can have so much abundance being attracted into your life, but it's almost like you're not even the one doing it. Like you're taking the action, but it's just flowing through you. Some of the best videos I've ever recorded. I don't know how I came up with that, but it's like beautiful insights. I've learned a lot of things while I was recording a video before. Sometimes while I'm teaching, I'll learn while I teach. Because you got to realize my higher self is speaking through me. And sometimes it's like, okay, Francis, well, does that mean you can't take credit for your work? Not at all. I'm taking the action. I'm putting in the work, but also it's almost like I have a little ally behind my back working through me, which I can call my higher self. And that leads to effortless abundance. Okay, that's beautiful. That's the most beautiful thing. It's like you can still use your willpower, you can still take action, but at the same time, you let go of the burden of understanding things logically, and it just leads to effortless abundance. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Effortless abundance. If you're experiencing effortless abundance, your higher self is taking over. If you're just flowing through life, being at a high vibration, being who you really are, loving the life that you live, being in alignment, doing what you love, and then you start to attract abundance into your life through business opportunities, through people, through situations, just like random money comes to you. You have an abundance of ideas flowing into your mind. You don't know where they're coming from. You see, I'm taking action on those ideas, so I can take credit. A lot of people have their higher self taking over, but their higher self speaking through them, but they don't follow through with those ideas, and then somebody else follows through with that idea, right? That, like, our higher selves are always speaking to us. So the responsibility you take is act on those intuitions. That's why I can still take credit, because I'm acting on the intuitions. Some people don't. But when you start to take action on those intuitions and that higher self, and you allow that higher self to fully integrate and take over into your experience, what happens is that effortless abundance starts to come into your life. And it's like you're still putting in the work, but at the same time, you're not forcing things anymore. You're not needy, because you know you don't have to handle everything. You as the ego. The ego doesn't have to handle everything. You can just let it flow. Just let it flow. It's that simple. It's really that simple. The ego makes it hard. Now, from the ego's point of view, what I just said is like, no, Francis, it's not that simple. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. Yeah, that's the ego talking. Step up into your higher self, become present to the moment, and tell me how much struggle you have when it comes to creating wealth and success and abundance, and also having creative ideas flow to your mind. Tell me, once you tap into the present moment, if it's hard to think of ideas. Tell me if it's hard to create and manifest something. No, really, it's not hard. It may take action, but is it hard? Not necessarily. It becomes effortless abundance. So that's all I have for this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one to let go of your ego, reprogram your subconscious mind for success so you can align with your life purpose and be in alignment with automatic success, be aligned with your higher self and what you really want to be doing on this planet at this time, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation to see if you're a good fit for the coaching program. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.